Good morning, everyone from Bangkok, Thailand. Um, Today is an interesting topic I'm going to discuss. But first, folks, like, subscribe, share, and please bang the notification bell. Share it with your family and friends. We're trying to build this channel up, and of course, coming to you by way of All Talk Production. All Talk is the name of the channel. But today's episode is Big Joe Talks. This is vlog number 2 or episode number 2, however you want to frame it. And today's topic uh, is interesting. And before I get into it, first off, I want to say I'm not a certified counselor. I'm just going off what I'm going to tell you, my own personal life experience. So, this topic is a topic I think all of us at times in our life, if we're honest with each other, we struggle with. And that's why if you see the video, it's about, if you look at the title, as we go through life, I don't care if you're rich or if you're poor, whatever you are, we all go through life struggles. I don't care if you have $1 billion in the bank, $100 in the bank, whatever kind of job, all walks of life struggle. Life can get brutally hard. When we go through life, we struggle with depression and all kinds of different things. I don't care where you're at in the world, all walks of life at one point or another go through what I'm about to tell you or share with you. So, how many of you are maybe going through depression right now or feeling life is just too hard in the times we're living? The times we're living, economic troubles. Maybe you're having trouble paying the bills. Maybe you don't like your job. Maybe you're having issues with a family member or friends. Maybe you're struggling with your past. And I'll confess to you, living in Southeast Asia, living here in Asia, um, living here in Asia, people come. One of the reasons people come to Southeast Asia, they're running away. And this is my opinion now. This is not nobody else's. They're running away from something. Maybe they're running away from their past. Maybe they're running away from an obligation, a debt obligation. But we all have issues in our life. Could be health, could be physical health, mental health. So here I'm going to tell you how do we deal as we walk through life. How do we deal with it? Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. And if you, I have been diagnosed with a mental health disability. Now, if you want to know more about that, I have a video on it. So just go watch the video. You'll find it. Matter of fact, I'm outside walking by in Bangkok, and I tell you all about it. And I'm outside my old apartment complex. So you can. There's two videos, but there's one video in particular tells you all about my personal struggle, how I got diagnosed, what happened. But all right, I'll leave that there. So how do we deal with when we're struggling in life? Well, the first point is dealing with regret. And I'll tell you this. dealing with regret. A lot of us, if we're honest with each other, we regret a lot of our past decisions. Maybe we've made mistakes. Maybe we've did somebody wrong. If you can't come to grips with your past, make peace with your past, deal with your past. Regret can strangle you and suffocate you. Regret prevents us from moving forward in life. Regret causes us to constantly look back instead of looking forward. So you see, regret, folks, regret. If you cannot deal with your past, you're not going to have a future. And the number one thing I believe, now I'm not a certified therapist, I'm not a counselor, is dealing with the pain of regret. Now, how do you do that? One, as Christians, we're taught when Jesus forgives you, you're forgiven. Go forward, go ahead and sin no more. Right now, in life, it's hard to regret. It's hard to forget it. Right? If we're being honest with ourselves, it's hard. How do you deal with that? One, you have to make peace with your past. You have to reconcile. Now, if you did somebody wrong, say you're sorry. Now, if you could make restitution with that person, if it's a financial deal, then try to do it. Maybe you had issues with your family or some friends. Maybe you had a bad argument. Maybe you didn't pick the job you wanted, or you're not living where you want. Regret can come in many sizes, shapes, and forms. Deal with your regret. And sometimes it's like a big monster, this regret. But learning how to deal with it and reconcile it, that can, one, I believe, help you overcome your depression, possibly. Two, help you make peace. Like you say, when you overcome that, give you more a sense of peace. And again, I'm just somebody who lives with some mental health struggles. I'm not. I don't pretend to know everything, folks. So again, I'm not a certified counselor. I'm just giving you my life experience. Deal with regret, and this is a tough one for me. I've made some past decisions I didn't like. Of course, I wish I can go back and turn the clock on a lot of things, job wise. Knowing what I know now as I get older. But guess what? I realized I can't do it. And there were some people I didn't get along with. I had to go back and apologize to. Dealing with regret. Confront it. Do your best to reconcile your past. So, number one, dealing with regret. What's number two? Knowing how to course correct. And course correcting. What is course correcting? Maybe you have to make life changes, make some adjustments in your life. Known as a course correct. For example, maybe you're living in Los Angeles. I'm just using that city as an example. I'm not getting political or trying to pick on anybody. You don't like it there. Maybe you have some money in the bank. Take a chance and change your environment. It could be that's just one example. Look for a new job if you're not happy. If you're capable, not everyone's capable of leaving their job. I'm just going to keep it real. But if you can, maybe change your job. Or how about change your environment? I'm not just talking about moving somewhere just physically moving to another city or another country, but how about maybe the people you're hanging around are just negative or dragging you down? Misery loves company. So, course correcting, making changes. And this is not an easy thing to do. I'll tell you, when people do this, it takes a lot of courage when you decide to do this. Now, what I'm also going to tell you, when I decided to move to Southeast Asia, people thought I was nuts. Like, what's your problem? What is your problem? What are you doing? I just at the time, and here's the deal. At the time, I was making good money. I was putting in a lot of long hours. I was already retired from the military at this point. And even though between the pension I was receiving and the money I was making, it was good money. It was long hours, but it was a stressful gig. It was contracting. Every time the contract's up, you had a fear of losing your job, and that wasn't why I decided to leave. I had prayed and seeked for for years. Something was missing, so I decided to shake it up and come over to Southeast Asia, come over here to Thailand, and that's exactly what I did. Now, does it mean all my problems are solved? No, but it did help. And look, in life, to the time we are, whatever our numbers up, whenever we die, there's always going to be issues, whether they're financial, medical, or personal. Look, life isn't easy. Life is tough to navigate. So, knowing how to steer your ship, your personal ship, knowing how to course correct. So, the first point is dealing with regret. The second point is course correcting, and the third point is it's sort of a sub point to the point two, but anyways, you know what? I'll give it this. Third point is how you give your life balance, have a hobby, and that point also is hanging out with the right people, which I covered in point two, but having something to do. They say idle hands is the devil's workshop. Have a hobby, have something to do, something you're passionate about. Um, I'll confess, by nature, I'm lazy. I'll just, before I put anybody else out in these videos, I'll put myself out. That's why I go to places like the VFW and get involved and do things, or go volunteer to feed homeless, or I'm part of organizations, part of things, because I need structure in my life. And maybe you just need some structure, right? If we're honest with ourselves, we all need friends. We all need to feel loved. But at the end of the day, be passionate about a hobby. Have a passion. Uh, have something to do. Also, have some accountability with some close friends or family. So, yeah. So far, we've talked about dealing with regret, course correcting. Having point number three is having something to do. So, what do you think? And again, I'm obviously in one little video here. We're not going to solve the world's problems or solve all our problems, but excuse me. I think are this lays a good foundation. And once again, I'm not a therapist. That's not. But these are just, take it from somebody who's had to figure this stuff out over decades. And had somebody maybe told me this earlier in my life, who knows? Maybe I'd be a lot farther. But it is what it is. The past is what it is. And here we are. Here we are, folks. So this is where we're at. And that's another thing. Deal with where you're at and go from there. Okay. And this is the last point. Um, don't be afraid to ask for help. Help. Excuse me. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Especially men, we all have this problem. We are afraid to ask for help. And folks, not to go on a rabbit trail, but once I learn how to use YouTube better, I can do these videos better. But so if I'm moving around, so I'm just looking at the camera. So, anyways, back to the subject. Asking for help. That can be tough to do. Now, sometimes asking for help isn't necessarily wanting to borrow money or financial. Maybe just someone to talk to. Maybe it's just not wanting to be alone. Maybe talking to a friend or just, don't be too prideful. Ask for help. And the last couple of things, I said this is my last point, but the last couple of things, real quick, a couple other things came to my mind. Be generous. Yes, be generous. Um, don't be afraid to help others. You want to? I'll tell you a quick story. Years ago, this woman went to her pastor and says, "Look, I'm struggling with depression. I can't seem to get over it. I just don't feel like doing nothing in the morning." And so the pastor asked her and said, "Well, what do you like doing?" She goes, "I like baking, especially chocolate chip cookies. I do them for my grandkids. I bake them for my grandkids." And so the pastor said, "Here's what I want you to do. I want you to get up tomorrow, bake some cookies, chocolate chip cookies, and I want you to go to the nearest homeless shelter and pass them out." So he goes, "Do that for the next several days and go around, and maybe give to your friends and just pass them out." And she did that for several days, and that generosity helped her deal with the depression she was going through. So don't be afraid to be generous. Maybe if you don't have money, okay, maybe help someone walk across the street. Maybe be a shoulder they can lean on. Don't be afraid to be generous. You'll be shocked how generosity can heal the soul. Don't be afraid to help somebody else out. Play it forward. Sometimes here, look, I'm not a billionaire, I'm not rich, but sometimes I'll help the locals here, give them a little tip, extra tip when they're serving me. When the transportation, the motorbike guy takes me around, I'll give him a little extra. Sometimes even the 7-Eleven workers, I'll throw them a tip because people here, a lot of them don't make a lot of money, don't have any, or it's just simply sometimes I'll buy someone a meal or be there for someone who needs a ear to talk to. So be generous. You'll be shocked how much better that will make you feel and enrich your soul. Be generous. Walk in nature. Go swimming. Go to the gym. And I'm getting back into working out again myself. I need to be more disciplined and consistent. Just my I mean, for myself. And a lot of times I say this stuff not just to put out, but for myself. So, anyways, that's those are just some of my points, some of the things I do to overcome depression, to overcome when I'm struggling in life. I hope somebody gets something out of this. I hope even if one person gets helped. Um, I believe it'll be worth it. And I also believe that it could change your life. And slowly change your mind. It's a process. A lot of times it doesn't happen overnight. Excuse me. But I do believe this will help you if you apply some of these steps. They've helped me. I'll say once again in closing, sounding like a broken record. No, I'm not a certified therapist. I'm not a certified counselor. I'm just someone who's dealt with issues in my life, disabilities, and this is some of the ways I've dealt with it. And there's more too. But look, if you want, I could do a part two video on this and tell you some of the other things. But this is enough. I don't want to ramble on. Anyways, please like, subscribe, share, bang the notification bell, my friends. It helps the algorithm, helps the channel, it helps me, it helps you, it helps us all. So from Bangkok, Thailand, I wish you all the best wherever you're at in the world. God bless. Take care. Have a great day, night, wherever you are.